You could say that my mom, Betty Jean Reetz, was a Fond du Lac girl her entire life. Born and raised in Nisquara, Wisconsin, to Bernard and Edith Rabbit. Blessed with one sibling, she and her sister, Mary DETERT, though 7 years apart in age, were incredibly close.
Betty was always a very kind and compassionate person, and she filled the void in my life of my father and somewhat of my mother, who was very busy along the way too, that I turned to Betty for advice as I was growing up. Betty was my role model.
Mom attended Westfield High School with the desire to attend nursing school upon graduation.
When she decided to go to nurses training, it was before high school. She was a good friend of Barb, and she was a nurse here in Fond du Lac, who graduated from St. Agnes. And so she always liked the white cap, and so she wanted one of them someday. She always looked at the fact of the people she worked with were special to her. She taught her staff to be the patients come first. She loved people.
Mom attended the St. Agnes Hospital School of Nursing, earning a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree in 1962. While in school, she lived in a house on Cottage Avenue with several other nursing candidates and made lifelong friends. Simply, this group of ladies did life together. From late night gatherings, talking about raising their children, to family weddings later in life, to many class reunions throughout the years, Mom was genuinely connected to people. Shortly after graduation, Betty married Ivan Reetz, her best friend and love of her life. Dad courted my mom and knew that someday they would be married. They lived in a rental property that they eventually purchased and renovated throughout the years. There they raised me, my brother Dan, my brother Brian, and my sister Kathy. My mom worked PMs and my dad worked days, so as we were kids, we had to become self-sufficient and rely on ourselves. She would get us on the bus in the morning and have a warm meal waiting for us when Dad returned from work at the cannery.
We started at the same time. I was a new psychiatrist in town, and she was a new psychiatric nurse, but really was an exceptional one. If any of the specialties require the capacity to listen, psychiatry requires the capacity to listen, and she was an excellent listener. But beyond that, she was empathic, kind of a role model for empathy. Walking a mile in the patient's shoes, they began to trust her, and she was very genuine in her empathy and serves as an example of empathic listening.
As a leader, my mom attended conferences around the country where she learned from other ministries and healthcare systems about caring for the vulnerable and overlooked. Her heart was moved by the many families that were in need of the blessings that we all take for granted: healthcare, education, food, housing, and family. She would take my dad with her, and this is how they were able to afford to travel and see the world outside of Fond du Lac. We were considered poor growing up, but didn't know it. We never went without, and we never felt like we were missing anything. Service to others was important, but so was service to family. If there was a family outing, party, or potluck, we went. Mom would say, if 2 or more are gathered, count me in. The Reetz family grew as my siblings and I all married, starting families of our own. Betty's grandchildren, Jacob, Samuel, Emma, Jenna, Joshua, Ella, Evelyn, and Abram, were her pride and joy. Mom worked in behavioral health for many years. She lived the mission of the Congregation of Sisters of St. Agnes in her work, family, and spiritual life. During her career, she was instrumental in ensuring that through the Hospice Home of Hope, with financial help from AGNESIAN Healthcare Foundation, end-of-life care was available to all.
The primary role of the CEO is to care for the soul of the organization. We needed another voice at the table to make sure that our mission and values were always discussed. People trusted her. They knew she understood our core mission of hope, health, and wholeness.
The Betty Reetz Service Award was established in 2006. It was established to honor employees who lived out the mission in their daily work, both personally and professionally, something that Betty did routinely.
After 40 years of dedicated service to others at AGNESIAN Healthcare, Mom retired in 2006. Her commitment to the marginal, however, didn't end at retirement. Until the near end, my mom volunteered at St. Vincent de Paul, making home visits with my father, where she checked on the welfare of those in our community who were at risk and in need. She would verify needs, deliver rent, bring groceries, and maybe most important of all, Mom was a listening ear. After years of battling an illness, breathing became a daily struggle for Mom. She started drastically slowing down and quickly needed 24-hour-a-day oxygen. Knowing that the end of life was near, we gathered even more often as a family, taking final family photos, having family meals, and simply just being together more. In the winter of 2017, Mom got a flu she just couldn't shake. She spent several weeks at St. Agnes Hospital and then transitioned home to receive hospice home care. It was evident that recovery for her was no longer achievable. In her final weeks, Mom received care at the Hospice Home of Hope. In true Betty Reetz fashion, my mother prepared all the elements of her funeral. The readings, the music, she even wrote her own obituary. The day before, all family gathered to say their final goodbyes. And on the early morning of June 10, 2018, with her sister Mary at her side, Mom was called home. Her journey of life was complete.
It's a difficult situation because we were together for 54 and a half years. Our family loved her, and we were all together as one. And she kept it that way. She kept us together.
Through 54 and a half years of marriage, my mother, with my father at her side, set an example of faith, hard work, love, and service. We are sharing her story, this legacy of philanthropy through service, because this is what Mom would have wanted. She was an example to all of us to pay it forward. While we miss Betty greatly, we know she has left behind a legacy of giving that many people are better because of.